Councilor Mellon. Councilor Gardner.
Present.
Councilor Tulowitzki.
Present.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes.
We have
Present.
4 members present.
All right, please stand for a moment of silence and the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you everyone for attending tonight. All right, brings us to the open to the public. In-person public comments are limited to 2 minutes maximum per person or 5 minutes for group spokesman. Please keep your comments civil and constructive to public policies. The chair at his sole discretion may recognize any individual wishing to speak on different topics at any time and may end the open to the public session. All speakers will be timed by the clerk treasurer. This portion of the meeting shall not exceed 20 minutes. Public comments can also be submitted electronically. If you have a question or comment about an item on the agenda, please email the question or comment to d.anderson@munster.org. Mr. Anderson will ensure that all submissions are shared with the elected officials of the town and that submissions will also be entered into the minutes of the meeting. You keep your comments civil and constructive to public policies. Anybody wish to speak, please step up to the podium, state your name and address. But anything online, Dustin?
No, sir.
I will close the open to the public. That brings us down to the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move we accept the consent agenda.
Your second.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Schoen.
Yes.
Councilor Gardner.
Yes.
Councilor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-0.
There's nothing under old business, under new business. Item A is Centennial Park Clubhouse.
Anything to report on that?
Oh, it's been pretty cool. I can't even joke about it. We did receive an opinion from our outside insurance expert from Barnes and Thornburg that there was a question about the coverage that we had. So as a result of that question, we did have to unfortunately cancel those events that were scheduled for that 30-day period of time between the installation of the emergency shoring and the expiration of the guarantee by the person who prescribed that fix. So that was challenging. I am very proud of the staff of the town, specifically Wendy and Mark Heinz and Mark's entire team, who worked tirelessly to find alternative locations for the events that took place in that short period of time. We had things coming out of the social center to town hall, so other events could go to the social center. Mark Heinz was at the social center until midnight on Friday night. We were able to find a venue for the wedding that took place last night. We found a venue for the wedding that's going to take place this coming weekend. We've arranged for flexibility on deposits and transfers, so the brides and the families aren't under any kind of financial strain at all. It's hard enough to change venues, so we're trying to eliminate as many complications as we can, and I'm proud of the efforts of the employees of the town of Munster towards that end. So,
Thank you, Dustin. I would agree with all of that. It's been unfortunate, but everybody's been hustling, and it's in the best interest of everybody in town and everybody that was going to run the facility. So, Thank you. Under item B, we have 2022 medical, dental, and vision insurance rates.
So here's some good news. It's not very often that a person gets to come to their supervisors and tell a story where the cost of premium declines year over year, but that's what's happening here in the town of Munster. Rates are going down by 6.5%. As a result, we're going to save a significant amount of money year over year. And what we're looking for this evening is authorization for me to adopt the health, vision, and dental rates for the town of Munster as presented. So just a quick overview, dental rates remain the same. Once again, they are what they are. They're kind of based on our experience. Vision is a benefit that we provide employees free of charge, and those rates are unchanged as well. So the PPO Plan 1 and the high deductible health plan, Plan 7, see the total cost of premium decline by 6.5%, which means the 17.5% that the employees pay also declines by 6.5%.
On your chart, you use the abbreviation EE. I know one E is for employee. What's the other one?
Employee is the two E's, employee.
EF is usually employer and EE is employee.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I should have put an
Well,
asterisk. I should have put an
Both
asterisk.
uppercase.
Well, you see it next year too.
I said that last year. Last night to a lot of people.
Thank you, Dustin.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we authorize the town manager to adopt the health, vision, and dental rates for the town of Munster as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
President Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-0.
Item C, consideration of zone code text amendment designating the residence portion of live work, mixed use, or flex building use as a conditional use in the CD4A and CD-4B and CD-5. Hello, Tom.
Hi, thank you. That was a long title for this amendment. Was actually a fairly simple amendment to explain. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on October 12th, so last month, to consider and make a recommendation with respect to revising our zoning ordinance so that our mixed-use districts, which are the CD4A, CD4B, and CD5 districts, formerly commercial-only districts, will be revised so that they would no longer permit residential uses by right, but only as a conditional use. So currently in those districts, one could construct a mixed-use building, ground floor commercial with residential on the upper floors, or some other arrangement by right, meaning that the only approval process would be development plan approval through the Plan Commission. With this amendment, which is being proposed by the Plan Commission, that would change that. So you could build a mixed-use building in one of those districts. However, the residence portion would be a conditional use. So in order to get approval for that project, one would have to submit an application to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the Board of Zoning Appeals would make a recommendation to the Town Council. Ultimately, the Council would approve. So this amendment has its genesis in some concerns that there may not have been enough oversight in our current zoning ordinance for a project of this type, and a desire to just give a project like this a little bit more scrutiny. So what this is doing is it's adding that extra level of scrutiny for a mixed-use project in these districts.
Thank you, Tom. And this is primarily on first read tonight, correct?
It says in the minutes we can maybe make a motion to waive the readings. I would not do that. I would just make a motion that we accept this on first read.
Okay, right. This is just first read,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm fine with just doing it on first read.
Like to make that motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we adopt it on first read, the ordinance 1847 amending table 26-6.405A through 6, and the remaining tables that are listed in the board packet in the Munster zoning ordinance.
Is there a second?
I will second.
All right, any discussion on this?
The only thing I would like to say is
Set
that
it for second read.
Give me a second.
I'm sorry.
Is it your intent to adopt it tonight?
No,
First reading.
Okay, because your motion was to adopt on first reading.
okay.
So you
I
had
will-
just got done saying you weren't going to, and then you said you were, so then I got confused. I want to make sure you do what you say you want to do.
I'm fine with just having this as first read tonight
And
and
setting
schedule a
it.
second reading for the next town council meeting.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Is that what you were seconding?
I will second that.
Okay. Again, I think I'm good with this conditional use. I do think mixed use development is going to be key in those areas. So I guess I still would like staff to educate the council, myself included, and maybe at the front of the line, knowing the value of this mixed use development, because I think there's real benefits that our town can reap in the TDD districts and in these areas. So while this is conditional use, I still think there's a lot of good that mixed use developments can bring. And I think we need to be looking at those options.
Yeah, I could also, Mr. President, if I make a comment. This was one of a few things that have come across the Plan Commission where we said it would really be helpful to have an updated policy document. We refer to the comprehensive plan to help us better inform some of the things that are coming before the commission. So we are aligned on a future vision of the town. If you look at the current comprehensive plan, it's about 10 years old. It envisions a train station right about where Lake Business Center is now. And so the feeling is it needs to be updated so we have a better sense for what the final sort of zoning code would be for this. And this felt like a good compromise to have a conditional use now so that we can get a second look at anyone who's coming in to build this. Can you?
That makes sense.
Yeah, so just a general comment is that's something I'm hoping we will be looking towards, say, in the coming year, and then we might revisit this later on.
Great. All right, any other comments? Roll call.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-0, and we'll see this again November 15th.
Item D, ordinance 1848, salary ordinance amendment. NWRS administration take-home vehicle in lieu of vehicle allowance.
This is a request that came to us for one of our officers who's rising in the ranks of the Northwest Regional SWAT team. And they're an assistant commander in charge of operations, and it's expected that he'll, which is the number 3 position of the organization, and it's expected he'll move up to number 2 on another officer's retirement. At this time, he's using his personal vehicle to, excuse me, carry various equipment that's necessary for him to perform his responsibilities with the SWAT. And he is on 24-hour call and often has to go from his home. So it's been requested that he receive this vehicle instead of, and he will no longer, and he'll use it as an administrator, and he'll no longer be able to oversee the vehicle.
Thank you. So we have 2 options here.
Is there a preference of this being passed on first read or?
Because he is using his personal vehicle and with safety and all in mind, and to get him on the road faster.
Correct.
Yeah, let's go for it. Okay.
But I left it as an option in case you had discussion and questions that needed follow-up. So I think the preference is on first read, but we left it with the opportunity to.
Okay.
Give it time.
I think if he has a definite decision sooner is better.
You got it, Mr. Smith.
So I would then move to suspend the rules, waive the readings, and adopt ordinance 1848 on first reading as presented.
For a second.
Second here.
Any discussion?
I think it makes sense to fill that role on the SWAT team sooner better than later, have the officer properly equipped.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes. Item E, ordinance 1849. 2022 salary ordinance.
This is our big salary ordinance for the year. We're looking at a pay rate increase of 3%, which is about what is the going rate for annual for the cost of living allowance. It impacts the elected officials as well as the firefighters. The first class police officer rate will increase by 3%. One other thing, a couple other things to note. The pension board voted to increase the stipend for the pension secretary from $600 a year to $1,200 a year, and that's included in the ordinance. The park board approved pay rate increases for 2022, again included in the ordinances, and I would expect we will need to look at our maintenance workers as well, our seasonal part-time, and make some kind of an adjustment. Perhaps after the first of the year, we'll look at that. The park board approved a pay range from $11 to $14 for part-time office work. The same rate has been changed to match for non-park employees. All the benefits will remain unchanged. And we're working on the distribution matrix. So between now and November 15th, you may see some percentages changed there based on some information we learned recently. So we'll take care of that. And then in the first quarter of 2022, excuse me, I just had a tickle. In the first quarter of 2022, we'd like to look at further at the salaries and look at any pay rate inequities. And so that will come a little further down the road. So, and our goal is first quarter. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Did I miss anything or need to clarify?
Not from my perspective.
With regards to the pay equity, has department heads and staff been involved in some of those discussions at this point?
They have been, and
Okay.
they will be at a greater level in the next kind of round. We've got a matrix template set up. I've had some discussions and we'll get a little further in. You know, with department
I just want to make sure that
Yes.
department heads are.
Oh, yes, there's,
Okay.
my goal is to get a work study probably early January with this group so that we can fine tune it a little more. And then we'll
Wendy, question, this 3% raise, does that put in, what kind of pressure does that put on the budget that we approved?
we did, I'm sorry, all of a sudden, we worked that into it, so we should be fine.
Okay.
We should be fine.
Mr. President, I would make a motion that we consider ordinance 1849 on first reading and schedule second reading for the next regular meeting in November.
Second.
Second here.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes. Item F, Munster Fire Department contract with Fire Services, Inc.
Good evening, Council. In previous meetings, we talked and you guys approved the American Recovery money of $1.1 million for a fire truck. The easiest way to do this was to work with HGAC, and it's essentially a municipal bid process that's already set in stone. It's the cheapest price. I looked at them and looked at what the local distributor can supply, and it fell right into place with an E1 Typhoon fire truck. It's a multi-used vehicle. It will replace a 1996 engine, which is quite old. Because of that, we're only going to get about $20,000 for that option. In fact, just as a sidebar note, I had Gary Fire Department asking if we would donate it to them. And I said I would mention that, but that's for a different discussion. So we went through the process. We changed a few things on the spec to better fit our department operations. And you all have a copy of the spec. and the price of the vehicle. Again, we don't have to go out for bid because we're using the HGAC Regional Planning Commission's bid process. So I don't know what more I can explain to you. We can go through in depth of what it's all listed on there, but it's pretty general firefighting equipment that we put on it. And it will fit Munster a whole lot better than the HME that we're trading at. We're getting quite a few taller buildings. This will definitely help in that application. And as I mentioned before, this will help in our ISO rating also.
Mr. President, I would make a motion to authorize fire chief to execute an agreement with HGAC BUY to participate in the cooperative purchasing program at a cost of $2,000 and authorize the town manager to execute an agreement with Fire Service Incorporated for the purchase of a new fire truck in the amount not to exceed $1,999,278.54 to be paid from the ARPA Fund 176.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Chief, you mentioned the 1996 engine that will be turning in.
Yes.
Is it still operational?
It is operational. You start losing partial points in ISO for age. Usually on an engine, it's 20 years, and on a truck, an aerial piece, it's 30 years. And we're getting into a point where we're putting a lot of money in this piece of apparatus. We had just a couple years ago, had to change all the leaf springs on it and the shocks, which was quite expensive. When you get into a fire truck doing that kind of thing, it's not normal maintenance because there is no standard fire truck. Everything is built for. So that's where you get a lot of cost. Another thing that we have an issue with, if you remember, our engine 3 got hit 2 years ago. We had to wait 9 months for them to make the parts because even that engine is getting somewhat aged and it's not shelved stuff anymore.
And so the $20,000 that they're offering to pay for this engine doesn't seem like a significant amount of money, but if I hear you right, the engine itself might still be functional and could be of use. I'm just thinking about public safety for the community if the Gary Fire Department would have active use for that engine.
So I can tell you that if you chose to donate that engine to them, they would immediately re-decal it and put it on the road. It is. We just went through all the testing. Yearly, we have to put the fire engines through a test. And it's engine run, pump, suspension, brakes, everything. And it just passed. So it's.
I just know there have been some positive stories from even earlier in the year where community fire departments really help each other out,
Yes.
also across borders. So I personally would be open to exploring the option of donating that engine to that fire department if it could help, if they could put it on the road. And it's in good working order.
I would guarantee that they would put it on the road immediately.
Chief, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
How many stories does this go up?
It's 75 feet. So it depends on how the building is designed. You typically go by 10 foot of floor. So it could go up 7 floors, but you got to be real close. You got, whether it's a median or a grass area to sidewalk to building or where the parking lot is. Typically the fire code in 2 sides of the building, we have to be able to get within 20 feet of that building for that reason.
Okay.
What is our tallest building in town?
Technically it's community hospital. Community
Hospital?
hospital, yes.
Just would-
We've got that 100.
The Med Inn is, close.
Yeah, we've got the 100-foot aerial, which we're not getting rid of. Technically, when you do a rescue scenario, you need to have 2 ways to get in and get out. So if we have to ladder up above the fire floor, we're relying on ground ladders. Our biggest ground ladder right now is only 35 foot. I say only 35 foot. The tallest ladder that they make is a 52 footer. And to put that up is 8 guys to put that ladder up. Now you're looking into manpower. So if you look historically and what the fire service says in ISO does, is you need 2 aerial apparatuses if you have more than 3 buildings that are above 4 stories in your community. And then you get a whole bunch more ISO points, which lowers people's insurance at that point. So it's safety for the firefighter. Number one, if we have to go above the fire floor and make entry, you always have to have a way in and way out, 2 of them. If you ever watched a fire department ladder or roof, there's always at least 2 ladders thrown, and it's for that reason. Now, yes, there's a transition when you get into what they call high rise. That you're managing 2 stairways. The stairways are your emergency egress areas, and that when they go in, that's their first and primary goal is to control them 2 stairways and make sure that fire doesn't get to them stairways. That's their primary function. Then they'll have other crews come in and start doing search and rescue when you get into, 30-story buildings and whatnot.
Thank you.
After this vehicle is replaced, what's the next oldest vehicle that we have?
It will be an engine. I'm gonna shoot it from the hip, about 600,000 for an engine right now. You're looking at 5 years at the most.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
President Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-0.
Item G, Munster Fire Department warning sirens.
Okay, in the town, we have 4 warning sirens in there for tornado, weather warnings, and they could be multi-function used for other things also. We have one here on town hall property. When they were initially put in, there was 3 of them that were the rotating style. They were actually really, really durable, and they elected to do 1 stationary one at Sunnyside Park. I don't know how that fell through the cracks to put that, I'm going to say cheap of one up there. There's been a lot of issues with that one. Another thing with that one is it does not have a battery backup either. All the rest of them do. They elected to go with 240 volts on that one, where the other ones run off 110, actually 24 volts off of battery systems. So we're looking to replace that one and bring it up to date with a battery backup. It will be an Eclipse 8, which is light years above the one that's there, the Model 2. And then also on the same memo, we have the one that's at Fitness Point. The pole's starting to lean pretty good. Those are a rotating style on the rest of them on that pole. And we're getting to the point where it might not even rotate after another degree or 2. Plus it puts a lot of wear and tear on the bearings. So what I'm looking for is to replace the one at Sunnyside Park, which is 7800 Holman Avenue, with the Eclipse 8, and then also straighten the pole at Fitness Point.
I'd make a motion that we approve the repair of Fitness Point siren pole and replacement of the Sunnyside siren in the town of Munster. Both sirens will be paid from general obligation bond 414-915-212-64422.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
That's the current bond issue, right? Not the one that's we're approving tonight?
No, that's the current one.
Okay.
It's been sitting there for.
No, that's fine. Very good. Thank you.
Chief, we have a nip scope pole in our backyard that is leaning. I don't know if it's 6 degrees.
So
And $3,000 seemed like a pretty hefty price tag for adjusting that one.
for just a
Not
regular.
the one in our not the one in our backyard, but I
You
just
gotta
thought,
remember, there's a lot of weight up there already. They have to bring it out, they'll excavate the one side with a hydro excavator, take a crane and push the pole back, and then push down the ground on the other side. They're gonna use something like 5,000 pounds of pressure.
okay, so a lot of weight, a lot of
Yeah.
equipment. It's not just a wooden pole like the one in my backyard.
It is, but there's a lot more to it
Lot more
than
to it.
just wires hanging on
Okay, so you're comfortable with that?
it. Yes,
With this quote. All right,
yes.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-2.
Item H, SEH of Indiana LLC, amendment to the generator system upgrade agreement.
Oh, Jill, come on.
She comes.
Come on, Jill, come on. You're part of the team.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everybody. So as you know, we are working right now. We have plans and specs out for bid for the new generator system that's gonna power everything here in Town Hall. In the course of that work, we will be changing over a lot of electrical equipment. There's gonna be new transfer switches in addition to the generator, and the switchboards are all going to be replaced as well. So in the course of doing the design work, our electrical engineer suggested that now would be a good time to do an arc flash study with all this new equipment. So arc flash is a phenomenon where electrical current will jump from one electrical piece of equipment to another. And if a person is standing near there, they could be killed. So when the purpose of the arc flash study is to identify the level of severity of this arc flash, and a short circuit analysis as well is included in our proposal, so that maintenance personnel can know at a glance what kind of protective equipment they need to be wearing while they're working on that piece of equipment. So the study involves doing a model, some kind of modeling, and I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't know that much about it. And then they do a report and they make these labels for the equipment, and I don't know if they're color coded or if it's some kind of number, but an electrician would know by looking at that, oh, I need gloves and a shield, or I need a full rubber suit, or whatever that they need in order to protect them. So we proposed to Dustin doing this study as part of the work that we're doing with the generator, because the information about the new equipment being readily available would make the modeling a little bit easier. It is not required by code to do this, but it is recommended by OSHA, and it would protect the town from some liability should someone get hurt in the future doing maintenance on the equipment.
Mr. President, I would move to approve the attached SEH proposal number 162-684-1400, dated October 21st, 2021 for municipal center arc flash analysis. Revised to $8,830.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Will this affect the bids at all?
No, because this work will be done by SEH.
Okay, and so this is just something that's information for after this project is put in.
Correct.
Okay, so it's not affecting the installation of these at all?
No,
Okay.
it will
Okay.
be done in conjunction with the project, but it won't affect the project.
Okay, because I see the bid dates, November 5th, right? So
We actually had to push that. We had a lot of contractor questions and they requested that we move the bid date. So in order to ensure that we get competitive bids, we felt like it would be better to move it. So we've given them a couple, like maybe about 10 more days.
But the bid itself is the bids are gonna have the exact same generator,
Correct.
so.
Yeah. We had a pre-bid meeting on Friday, and the 4 contractors that were here were all in agreement that they'd like to have more time. And you hate to, they always want more time, but I would hate to preclude anyone from submitting a bid, right? If they feel like they just don't have enough time to answer their questions and talk to their vendors and get a good price for us. So we talked about it with Steve Gunty and Chris Skolnick and decided that it would be better to push it a little bit. So.
Thank you, Joe.
Sure.
Any other questions?
Will we need to update the training and procedures and manuals, like about the equipment to use? Or the equipment to wear?
I think that any maintenance that would be done on this equipment will be done by not by town.
Not by town
personnel, correct. And so they would know what this stuff means and would.
By doing this, they'll be able to identify what kind of protection they need. Okay. Roll call.
Counselor Schoen,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki,
Yes.
and President Kulturitis.
Yes. All right, item I, SCH of Indiana LLC, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Alley Repaving Project Proposal.
So a couple months ago, I think Tom was here at a meeting to get your approval to submit an application to Lake County Economic Development for the CDBG grant. And we just heard back at the end of September that the money was awarded. So this proposal is just to have SEH do the engineering and prepare the bid documents so that we can put that out to bid and get those alleys paved.
Mr. President, I will make a motion to authorize town manager to execute the agreement labeled MUNSTP 163777 with SEH for engineering services associated with the CDBG Alley Improvement Program in the amount of $25,500 for the task number 1, and in the amount not to exceed $7,900 for task number 2.
There's a second.
I second.
Discussion?
I just had a question. I know last year we did the porous asphalt. It was kind of an experiment. I think it was going pretty well. If you have an update on how that material has held up after a season, and then I see some were proposing to do as porous asphalt again and others as regular HMA. How do we make that determination?
I don't know how to make that determination.
Well, go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say, we selected a few for porous asphalt in this round because they had the worst drainage problems. The initial alleys that we rebuilt out of porous pavement with the last round, all of those were had significant flooding, rear yard flooding problems. So not only did we alleviate puddles in the alley, we also tried to actually regrade the alleys a little bit so that they accepted stormwater from adjacent properties. We don't have that, so we got the worst alleys done in the last.
This is more
round.
the northeast part of town.
Yeah, that's the only place we can use the CDBG funding because of the
Income restrictions.
restrictions. It has to be used in a area that meets certain income requirements. So, so the alley that you can see that's west of Holman Avenue there is actually behind a commercial and multifamily area, and it's just has a really bad flooding situation. So that's why we picked that one. And
The Hollywood one is the only other permeable asphalt is much more expensive than regular too, so that's a consideration.
yeah, so that's why I mean, otherwise we'd probably do them all in permeable, but it's about what, double the cost.
Yeah. There's more excavation because the pavement structure there's a lot of rock underneath it that holds the water.
Okay, good. So we're using it where it needs it the most and not over engineering where it's not needed. And it's been performing well. Because I just know I had some resident concerns about.
Was it gravel that they were concerned about or the porous asphalt? Because the porous asphalt looks and drives like regular HMA.
Okay, understood. Yeah, no, I'm talking about the gravel.
Okay.
So, okay, thank you.
Roll call.
Counselor Schoen,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-2.
Item J, AES, Advanced Engineering Service Proposal, Proposed Paving and Water Main Improvement Project, River Drive East and North Delaware Parkway and Potomac Drive.
So normally, as our engineer on call and the engineer that will design the road improvements for the next round of community crossing grant funding projects, there is some soils work, some geotechnical work that is specialized. And, I'd like to thank Jill and the team at SCH for giving us the flexibility to do this. Rather than use AES as a subcontractor and have to attach a management fee to that, as their corporate structure requires them to, we know AES. We have a good relationship with that firm and the principal there. We would suggest just contracting directly with AES and saving that 15%. Yeah.
I still manage it, so.
Yeah.
You're getting me for
We
free.
still let you get the report.
And the principal of AES is a Munster resident, right? Like, so it's not some fly-by-night operation.
A win-win there. All right.
Mr. President, I would make a motion to approve the AES proposal number 2021-312G for geotech engineering services dated October 19th, 2021 in the amount of $3,950.
For a second,
I'll second it.
any discussion?
Just after the experience with Timmerick this year, I think it's wise to know as much as we can ahead of time, especially as we're waiting for funds to get in. So I think this is a good move.
All right, roll call.
Counselor Schoen,
Yes.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Yes. Item K, disposal of property.
This is Lieutenant Roman, if you need to can speak more to this, but essentially, this is.
Well, I'm very tempted to have Officer Broman explain all these items. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the police department to destroy the listed property and remove same from our current inventory.
For a second,
I'll second.
discussion. Roll call.
Counselor Schoen.
Yes.
Counselor Gardner.
Yes.
Counselor Tulowitzki.
Yes.
And President Kulturitis.
Dan, you owe me one.
The reports, we have the 2001 Geo bond bid opening minutes.
This is just to acknowledge that this past Thursday, we opened 4 bids for the $4 million general obligation bond that will be receiving or will be finalized, we hope, on November 18th. 4 organizations bid. Horizon Investments came in as the lowest and have been, they seem to be a very successful bidder, and we are moving forward with them. So this is essentially just a report to council as a follow-up that the bid process, or the bond process is moving along. The agenda doesn't talk at all about portfolio reports. You were, okay, Dr. Andy, I'll let you go.
We
I got
can
one,
start
so
with you, since
I'm
you
so
brought that up,
excited to
Wendy.
just
Go
jump
right
right
ahead,
out
go
on
right
board.
ahead, Wendy.
This past Friday was the Ethics Summit, the Shared Ethics Summit, which is something that the town of Munster is not only a founding member of, but a proud participator in. Very good information, but one of the things that I wanted to bring back to council is that once a year, in alternating years, they have a board and commission training as well as a department head training. So the board and commission meeting was about 6 weeks ago. We got very short notice on that, and I don't know that anyone was able to participate, myself included, but I would like to encourage next year when it's time for the department head, that we encourage as many of our people to participate in that as possible.
It's a good program.
It is a good program. We also, did anybody else want to talk tulips?
You can talk tulips.
I love talking tulips, but I have a tickle in my throat.
All right.
Just for the public record, it's official. We can tiptoe through the tulips, which is the 2022 Public Art Project. You are welcome and encouraged to purchase a tulip, and there are 4 different options that you can look at and to whatever meets your needs. And we look forward to seeing what we hope will be 50 giant 5-foot tulips throughout town next summer. So the website, there's opportunities to get more information on the website. And if you have an organization that you would like one of the members of the committee, such as Leanne, Chuck, or myself, to speak at, we'd love to share more information about the program. So
Thank you, Wendy.
certainly, and now I'm done.
All right. Does anybody else have any words?
None for me.
I guess I would, from the Munster Civic Foundation portfolio, just sort of a teaser for what's coming in a future meeting. December 3rd is going to be an inaugural, not first annual, get it right for Ken, an inaugural celebration for the town of Munster to bring community together. We've had some good success in getting a choir, a celebrity. We have funding for lighting the building and lighting the trees and many businesses to be involved. So we're doing final planning, but just a teaser, the first Friday in December, from 5:30 to 6:30, get ready to bring your families out and just enjoy the opening of the winter season. It will be called, can I tell it? Yeah, Light the Night. So St. Clark Griswold. There'll be a before and after illumination event.
All righty. Brings us on to announcements. All town council meetings will start at 7 p.m. unless otherwise noted. November 8th, there is no meeting. November 15th, regular town council redevelopment commission meeting. November 22nd and 29th, there are no meetings. December 6th, regular town council redevelopment commission meeting. No meeting on December 13th. Brings us down to adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you for attending.
And at what time?
46.
December 6th.
That's only because you jumped in and talked.
I know if I wouldn't have talked over you, we would have been
It
fine.
would have been done. Yep.
I'm pretty good at this game.
All right. I'm doing great.
It's Visitor's Day.
That's the
man. Hey.
Yeah, look at
What's up,
that.
man?
Tell ya.
Welcome back.
All right, I would like to bring the redevelopment commission regular meeting for November 1st, 2021 to order. Wendy, roll.
Commissioner Schoon,
Present.
Commissioner Mellon, Commissioner Gardner,
Present.
Commissioner Tulowitzki,
Present.
and Commissioner Kulturitis.
Present.
We are 4-0, and we also have our liaison from the school board, John Castro, with us this evening. Hi, John, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
All right. Brings us to open to the public. Anybody wish to speak at the redevelopment meeting? Is there anybody online?
There is not.
Open to the public. That brings us to the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move we accept the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schoon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Tulowitzki,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kulturitis.
Yes.
We are 4-0.
There's nothing under old business. Under new business, we have the Baker Tilly Municipal Advisory Service LLC engagement letter, private pay calculation.
Let's send rock, paper, scissors on this one.
Sure. With the sale of the Lake Business Center, the town, per its development agreement with Symboard Development, is entitled to a certain amount of proceeds. However, the exact amount of proceeds is to be determined by this private pay, because there was a refinancing of our bonds earlier in the year, which we've realized savings on. And the trick is we need to find out exactly how much we should take, which will not be the entire amount that we are entitled, because we do not want to put the tax exempt status of our bonds in peril. So that's a really intricate calculation that we would be wise to hire out for some better horsepower.
Thank you, Dustin. Gentlemen,
I'd make a motion that we agree to the letter of engagement with Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors for municipal advisory services regarding the private pay calculation from Lake Business Center development project not to exceed $5,000.
a second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on this? Roll call.
Commissioner Schoon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gardner,
Yes.
Commissioner Tulowitzki,
Yes.
Commissioner Kulturitis.
Yes.
4-0.
All right. There are no reports, there are no announcements. That brings us down to adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
I
Thank you,
missed-
John.
I missed that.
Thank you.